So I don't have to. Oh, we're live.
We
All
are
right, everybody.
up.
Welcome to another Sunday. Jon and I are here, regardless of all the things that happened yesterday. They found my stolen truck, and I got woken up at about 11:30 last night, and about 2:30 in the morning-ish, and I didn't sleep well. So excited they found my truck, but the insurance company now owns it, so I just got a bunch of things I got to deal with that. So I'm halfway out of it. And then Jon's had some internet issues at his place, so he's kind of out of it today. But anyway, welcome to Elite Ageless Mindset. I'm Nick Best, and this is Jon Anderson, who appears to be frozen on the screen. So it looks like it's just me until they get the internet issues fixed for him. Today we want to talk about kind of like ways to stay consistent and stay on top of things. And that comes with planning and writing things down that you want, goals that you want to get accomplished, and staying on task and looking at those things every day and checking things off as you go. When you have like a board up, I know Brian Shaw has like a board up at his place. Oh, there's
go.
Jon's back.
What I miss, brother? What I miss?
I just explained why you're halfway out of it, why I'm halfway out of it, and the things we went to, because you've been having internet issues with your site and stuff like that. I was up dealing with the police, and my stolen truck was found and stuff like that. And then talk about ways to stay consistent and things that we do to stay consistent, and things that we've seen other people do to stay consistent and stay on top of the tasks that they have on hand.
100%. You know, and on top of that, a lot of times, whether it's distractions or like sometimes it's like your stuff with the police in your truck, not a lot of paycheck to that. But part of my struggle today, not that a struggle, I'm just really tired because my middle daughter and her friends were home for the weekend, which was a lot of fun. But you know, goodness gracious, with a lot of fun comes a lot of energy exertion. So you know, between normal stuff that I deal with, plus being tired, it's easy to want to say, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. But this is what we're talking about, how not to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's challenging, but like I was saying, Brian Shaw has, whiteboards in places, and he writes everything that he has coming up for the month on one whiteboard. And then he's got another whiteboard of the task broken down by day on things that need to get done. Now, whether you do that on the whiteboard or in a notebook or anything, it's a good practice to do, because you can go back and revisit what you accomplished in it, scratch things off, stay consistent on your plan, write down your daily schedule, and just knock things out as they go. And you start feeling pretty good as you get things accomplished and you start lining through everything you got to get done in that day. It's a pretty darn good feeling when you're like at the bottom of the list going, okay, everything I have to do is done. Now I'm going to get to the things that I want to do to finish off the day, which is kind of a really good feeling.
Well, that's very similar to what I kind of do. I kind of look at, okay, I'm in this position where, excuse me, there's a lot of things here that I don't really want to do, but I know that when I do them, I'm going to feel really good that I did them. So what I immediately do is I envision how I'm going to feel when I got them done. And then I take a quick second to envision how I feel if I did not. And those two feelings that I'll get in this, it might take me 60 seconds to do this little drill. It's very easy for me to decide what I want to do, because I don't like that feeling of, oh shit, you didn't get your job done today. And so a little bit of visualization for me is really, really helpful. That makes sense, brother?
Oh, yeah. We all visualize things, whether it's before we compete, things we got to do. Like if you got a meeting with somebody, you kind of rehearse, the positive parts of it and the negative parts of it, and your responses to what the negative parts will be. You keep calm, you listen, you acknowledge, and you go through that, and you kind of repeat back to what they're saying and stuff like that. And then you re-educate and you overcome the objections that people have to certain things, but you practice that in your head, going through conversations and visualize that going on. It's a pretty useful tool, whether you're doing sales or whether you're just doing your everyday life and dealing with people. It's a very successful way of dealing with people.
Yeah, 100%. And it comes down to it. Everybody's going to have their own little methodology of how to do it. Like when I woke up this morning, I was tired. I was like, I guess you'd say my head was in the clouds, cobwebs, rusty, whatever you want to call it. So I just thought I just take the littlest bite, keep moving, just keep moving. Don't stand still. Go to the coffee maker, do this, do that, brush my teeth, and you drink my water. Enough little wins. And next thing you know, I've got the momentum to start, chomping into the stuff that might seem a little bit too big for the day. When you think about, oh my God, I got to do X, and X is this big task, and you're still haven't got your momentum up, I think that's a part that scares people off from diving into their stuff. What do you think, brother?
No, yeah, for sure, because the task looks overwhelming. And the thing is, if you break down big tasks into small, achievable goals, you can just keep taking bites out of it, and eventually it'll be gone. It's like anything else. Like when at 2:30, when the police called last night and I was half asleep, they were like, hey, this is where the vehicle is. This is the number of the tow yard. This is the number of this. So I sat there and wrote it all down. And then quickly, while I started to wake up, I realized, so I need to call the insurance company. I need to let the insurance company know where the vehicle is. Then I need to call the place myself and explain to them that the insurance company would be calling them, and then go through that.
Quick question, brother. So 2:30 in the morning, the phone woke you up?
Yeah. Well, I have kids, so I leave my ringer on.
Yeah. So you see this phone ring, and did
it they're both legally adults now.
Yeah.
I heard the phone. I looked at it. I'm like, who's calling me at 2:30 in the morning?
Yeah, Terry wears that hat for us, so I don't have to worry about that one. But so, what did it say? Police on it? What did you?
It was a number I didn't recognize, and I'm like,
yeah, that's not good.
It was from the area code though that was up in Northern California. So I was like, and I called it, and the officer identified himself, and started talking about the truck. I'm like, yeah, that's me, and that's my truck. That was my truck.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean it was? I'm like, the insurance company already just paid me out with it like 2 days ago. So it is now the insurance company's truck. So, yeah. So I just trying to stay coherent at that time and think on my feet and get my brain moving and wake up. And sometimes you got to do it fast, and it's not a fun thing to do, but you wake up a little bit and you get your head set in the right way. And then I'm like, all right, I'm still half asleep. I need to write all the things I need to do tomorrow to deal with this, write it down so that when I wake up and it gets past like 8 o'clock in the morning, I can start calling and doing all these things and get it taken care of. So that's kind of what I did. It's sitting over on the counter waiting for me to get to after we get done with this. So.
And what you hear Nick saying here is he's organizing his thoughts, putting on paper so that he can basically eliminate all of the, I don't know, call it anxiety or the fast-paced moving thoughts that were looping around his head of all the shit he had to do. He's like, okay, I got to do A, B, C, D, write it down. Now I can go back to sleep.
Yeah, and it allowed me to go back to sleep fairly quickly. So that was kind of nice. I was asleep before 3, so that was good. But it's
still a broken night's sleep.
Not fun, but it's okay. Everything's going to turn out good, and that's all that matters in the end. It'll all work itself out the way it's supposed to.
Well, I had different type of wake-ups. My wake-ups was my daughters and their friends having a good time, which was kind of fun wake-ups, but still wake-ups. But either way, we're here and we're doing what we got to do to be consistent. And I think that's really, if you boil this whole thing down, we're talking about how do you stay consistent? Because the premise of this whole thing is we've been doing this 40 years plus a piece. And it's these little things that we do that allow us to do what we do. And I love you, but what you just described is perfect, brother, because how many times does somebody get hit with something earlier in the morning or maybe late night the night before, or like you dead in the middle of the night? And because it throws their rhythm off, they're just going to mail it in for the day. Like, I guess, what I had planned is, my workout or whatever it is going to go to the wayside. Well, possibly. But if you organize things, there's a good possibility it won't. And there's nothing wrong if something happened and you had to bump your workout to the next day or something like that. But was it necessary is really the question. Don't just bump it to bump it. Bump it because, your remedies didn't quite pull the weight in terms of getting your day back on track. But don't just quit because things are different or difficult.
No, don't ever quit because things are difficult. It's just reorganize. And then, hey, look, if it takes, like for me, it'll take me probably 2 hours to get my training done. And sometimes I'll have things like this happen in a day and I get an hour and 15 minutes. Well, I take the hour and 15 minutes. I arrange it, I just readjust, and then I go through my workout. I still get my workout in and get the training in, and then move on with what's left of the day. That's my time schedule. I take my time schedule, and do the best I can with it. And that's all anybody can do.
So
Not
with this,
going to be perfect.
100%, brother. So with this scenario, let's kind of share a couple of tricks of how when we have these days.
I just lost my ears.
Oh, there we go. Let's share a couple of tricks. Let's each share a couple of tricks of how we do it. Can you hear me now, brother?
Settings, hold on.
Oh, you got muted. Let's see if he can find his way back. Because obviously we are going to share some tricks, which means Nick's got to be included. Well, I'll go while he gets back.
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you a little bit now. I don't want to turn it up real loud, but
yeah. So what I was saying was, let's each share a couple of tricks. Like I had kind of mentioned my visualization trick, of how so we'll each share a couple of tricks of how we deal with these situations to be consistent in these times. And you pretty much shared one where you write and organize. I shared one where I basically visualize. So I would say that the next one for me is when I'm in one of these situations, I make my entry, if you will, or I lower my barrier of entry to my workout or whatever it is I need to do. Like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna get in there and warm up and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because what I'm doing is I'm tricking my mind into, okay, that's a really easy, you can do that. It's going to be very difficult for your mind to talk you out of warming up. And in most cases, as we've talked about before, you get warmed up in these days, and for some reason, you have these really amazing days. So, the visualization, I think, is one. Number two would be lowering my barrier of entry to the task that my brain is telling me I shouldn't do. What's another one for you, brother?
Keeping calm. A lot of times people will kind of have, and this is something that took me a long time to learn. When you get like challenging things that come up, people have a tendency to like lose their temper with it or whatever, which when I was young, that was definitely something that happened more than it should have. But now it's like you just kind of breathe, take in the task, stay calm, focus on what's going on, and then start routing in your head how you're going to address the challenge in the situation. As you're addressing the situation, if you stay calm through that, you're going to be able to think through it better. You'll stay way more level-headed on dealing with the adversity, and then you'll be able to reprioritize your day from that point on and then move forwards from it. So a lot of it's just when things pop up like that, just stay calm and think your way through the issues.
Yeah.
Don't get emotional with it.
Well, and on that level too, when you do what Nick says and you control your emotions and you keep yourself from getting mad, because when you get mad or angry or whatever term you want to use, that's a huge amount of wasted energy that could be put into something else in your life, such as your workout. So you can't work out. You burn the energy that you would have used in your workout just being a sourpuss. What sense does that make?
No, yeah, for sure. 100%. When you lose your temper and you go nuclear, you expend a lot of energy. And then like the dump afterwards, you really don't feel like doing everything. After you get your blood pressure and everything and your anger up so high when dealing with that adversity. And then you get done and all that cortisol and all that stuff's released, and you just feel like you can't do anything and all your energy is gone. It like takes all your energy, and you actually, again, limit the day. So keeping your head, staying calm, accepting the situation, and prioritizing your day and working with and solving the problem, you'll have a lot more energy to attack the rest of the day with the goals that you still can get accomplished.
Yeah. So let's share one more before we wrap this up. So I would say the next thing that I'm going to do is when I'm in one of these situations, and I love what you're saying, staying calm. That was actually something that I was going to say next, because then I think kind of going off of what Nick is saying of stay calm is it's really look at the situation and understand, are you making a mountain out of a molehill? Because in many cases, something takes us out of our groove and we, blow it up. We make a bigger problem out of something that doesn't need to be a bigger problem. And because it appears to be a big problem, that little speed bump turns into a mountain. It makes us feel like we're not capable of doing it, when in actuality, stay calm, breathe a little bit, step back and look at it. You're like, okay, this is really not that big of a deal. But if you didn't do that, now all of a sudden you've got this, what appears to be this massive barrier of entry. And that's another reason why you may not have the nuts to step forward in this situation. So
yeah, it's almost like a self-sabotage.
Yes.
It's almost like a self-sabotage. It's just somebody moved your cheese and you lose your mind over it. And it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's just cheese.
And in many cases, you don't even know you're self-sabotaging. It's just the way your brain's doing it. Your brain's doing it to you. So that's a really good way to put it too, brother. You step back and look at it. Are you self-sabotaging? It might be a question you can ask yourself. So what would be another one from you? What's another one that you might do in situations like this?
Well, like I said, in situations like this, I just slowly and methodically pull it apart, put it back together, and then finish the rest of the day. It's not super complicated. It's not anything that's groundbreaking as ways to handle situations. But if you always keep your head and you stay calm and you go through these things, unless you're physically being attacked, other than that, stay calm. Yeah. And then just work your way logically through the situation.
And what you said, brother, is actually really key. You said pull it apart. Sometimes when you're looking at a problem and it looks like a big knot, like you don't know where to start untying the knot. Well, if you just stay calm and you gently pull it apart, you goes, okay, there's 3 pieces of this and none of them are really a big deal. It's just when they're all sitting in the same spot, they seem to be. So that's good, bro. I like that one. That's something that I don't consciously do, but I'm going to add that to my repertoire. That's good stuff.
There you go. Right on.
That's it.
Oh, we help each other.
That's it. Well, of course. And think about how we've helped each other over the years. That's what it's all about.
A lot, actually. Yeah.
Inspiration. The list goes on. So I would say words of wisdom. We put a bunch of remedies on the table. How do we wrap those into one?
Word of wisdom when facing things and you want to stay consistent and you got things that are coming up and you got all these different ways to stay consistent. The first thing you have to do is keep calm and think your way through it. So keep calm and think your way through it and reorganize your day.
I like it. And on that level, what I would add to that would be, as you're thinking your way through it, start lowering your barriers of entry to the things that your mind is telling you shouldn't do. Make it an easy first step.
Yeah.
And this, my friends, you've got some major tools to be consistent on these days where things just don't seem to be going your way, or where you wake up into a day where things seem a little bit more difficult than the norm. Now you got some good tools. So that being said, everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. We're here every Sunday, whether you like it or not, same time, same place. Anything else to say after that, my brother?
No, just go out and have a great day. Go make it a good day.
Go make it a good day, bro. That's it. We'll see you next time.